Hello friends, my name is Rian, your tech maestro at Azure DevOps Pulse. We welcome to our YouTube channel. In our last session, we have learned about Terraform, resource meta arguments such as dependency and count. And in today's session, we will be learning how to create multiple virtual machines using count meta argument in Azure. So our agenda is to create three virtual machines in one Terraform configuration file. Okay. So these are the prerequisites team. The first one is your the provider, and then second is your defining the Terraform like configuration file such as um, resource group, bnet, subnet, public IP address, nicker, then virtual machines. And in additional, we will also need to write input variable file for resource group locations and common tags. And we will also have one local value for my credentials because I will have three virtual machines. So I need to log into the server, right? So I need to define the login credentials. That is why those information I'll be storing in my local value. So let's get started. All right, team. For the first one, like I mentioned, the providers. So let's go to the Visual Studio. All right. So here are the kind of the configuration file I have, Terraform configuration file. Here the first one is a provider. So I have defined a provider. So if you don't know how to get a provider, what you do first, you go to the any of the browser, you type Terraform providers, you click on the browse providers, and then you define the provider. In your case, if it is Azure, you select Azure provider. Else, if it is AWS or some any other, you select based on your need. Okay, in my case, we are basically be working with Azure, so I'm going to select Azure as my provider. So let's click. As I click here, I get to see three tabs, basically views, overview, documentations, and uh, what do you call providers, right? So if you want to know more about the resource, how you can create, you can go through all the documentations are available. That is Azure provider, okay? And I'm going to select our interest to have a what do you call that provider. So I will copy this one. Once I copy this one, okay, let me go back here. Okay, you can just I'm not going to write 1 second just to show you. Okay, I can remove this one. I can just feature block. Okay, auto tab is available. You just use that. Okay, then you here enter you do you type require. You can require versions in your case whatever version you want you can define it. So for now I don't if you want to mention. Let's say this is nothing but if you see here is so you can check here Terraform CLI version. Okay, you can see here. This is the one. So in my case I have defined as anything that is greater than 0.13 mean it will take the latest one. So all right, so I'm going to remove this one. So hope you are clear how we can define the provider. Okay, we are clear with the first point. Now let's go to the second one, that is what is that? Be resource group, biner and everything. In your case, if you want to have separate also you can get it. Let's say to create a resource group, you can simply type the provider name, okay, underscore, then mention the resource group is your resource type. Okay, then you get a link. You can copy now. Okay, you can copy like that. Same thing if you want to create the bnet, same thing you type here as your RM, or you can go with the documentation or whatever. Say virtual network. Okay, if you click the link, it you get a link. Okay, so depends on your requirement. So what I'll do is I don't have to go each and every single things because when I take the template of virtual machines, I get everything. So what I'll do is I'm going to create a virtual machines that is my Windows. Okay, as you are on Windows virtual machines. If I click, I get a complete template. Click the first link. So let's say if I see, you can ignore this one, we have a define already. So you can think from here, okay? If you see resource group, this is what I was mentioning resource group, then bnet, you can see the bnet, then subnet, you can see the subnet, and then after subnet, you can see NIC cut, NIC cut. Okay, NIC cut, you are missing the public IP address. By default, they are not having in the template, but you can write that later. I will show you that as well. And then we have a Windows configurations. Okay, this is the template. So what I did was, you can just copy everything from here and use that, modify it now. In my case, I have already done that. I have copied and I use, uh, if you see here, public IP address is not available. So what I did in my configuration file, I can show you once. You can mention as main.tf, whatever configuration you have. The first one is a resource group, right? I have defined a resource group. Okay, resource group name, this is the block type, and this is resource type, and the local name, okay, or reference name, and this is a resource group name. So, and this is a basically what is it called? These locations I have defined in my variable file. If you want, you can check here. Location name you see here is to is a default one. Variable, then resource group locations. Same thing if you see here. Resource group locations, right? You can see here. Resource group locations here. Okay. So fine. We have got the first one, that is your resource group. And second one, you can ignore this one because we are not going to use this for now. We can. How can I ignore if you want storage account? You just what you do, slash or slash then start. Sorry, start. Same I can define here also if you want to exclude this one. Okay, now it is excluded. Okay, it will not be considered now. It will not be taken when you run Terraform configuration commands. Basically, this will not be considered. So it will be excluded. Okay, for now I don't want this one. So resource group I want. All right, now bnet. First one is good. Now we go to bnet. Same thing. Name whatever name I want. I given this thing. So location also I given as it is. Location basically I will use the same as my resource group location. So that is why I'm defining with my RG name. If you want, you can check here. If you are which resource group I need to use, you just mention here. Resource group. Sorry, my Azure RM resource group. Same thing if you see here. Location Azure RM resource group dot my RG. Dot or my RG mean this one. Dot location is nothing but this particular resource group, whichever region this particular resource group belong to, same resource group and location will be used. So this is why in my case, when I say the dot location mean whatever the resource group name is there, this particular resource group is there, whichever location you have defined for this resource group, same thing when you create the bidnet also will be used. Okay. Same thing for resource group name also. If you see here, uh, Azure RM resource group Azure resource group dot myrg dot local name again or reference name dot name is nothing but you give that means whatever I have the this resource group, okay, same resource group will be used when you create the bnet. And this is the address space block. This is a square bracket because we need to have a list of value here. In my case, I just have only one, so let it be. So okay, fine. We are good with the bnet. Now subnet. Subnet, what we want is if you see here, I want to create one subnet, right? Okay, one subnet. What you do? If you want to create three subnet, also you can create depends on your requirement. You can use a count is equal to 3 and the name you can mention something like that. Dollar $sign if you see this is your the actual name of your subnet and with the dollar sign with your curly braces, then you have the count dot index we need to refer, then space plus 1. By default, whenever you basically create any resources with the help of a count meta argument, what happens is the index number, the first value, that is your, let's say this is a binet name is binet name, the first binet name will be 0. Okay, binet name, then at last it will be a 0. Okay, hyphen 0. Okay, in the, let's see, it will be like that. Pulse subnet hyphen then 0. If you don't give this one plus 1, if you, let's say if you do just like that, you get subnet name as pulse binet, sorry, pulse subnet hyphen 0. Okay, but because depends on your use cases how you want the name to. Okay, in my case, but I want naming the index number, basically the instance what you call that, the indexing number should start with 1. That is why what I'm doing is I'm explicitly mentioning as 1, so that the first value, the subnet name will be starting with 1, not with 0. Okay, all right, this is the thing. So in my case, for now anyway, we are not going to create 3 subnet. I'm just going to, you can ignore whatever you see the hash. Okay, and that mean you are going to ignore this one. So I'm ignoring this one for these two things, because in your case, if you want, you can use this one. Okay. In case if you're using, if you want to create a 3 subnet, you have to remove this one. You remove this one, and you can use this one. Okay. So anyway, in our lab session, we are going to create only one. What do you call that? Subnet. Okay. Let's go with the next one. Public IP address. Same thing here. I use this thing. Resource block, then resource type, that is my public IP address, and this is local reference name. And I want to create 3, if you see here, 3 public IP address, because I have 3 virtual machines, right? So okay, now that is why I mentioned con is equal to 3. Okay, 3 public IP address, but name should be the first public IP address, whatever name you want based on your naming standard. You can define in a variable or however you want. You can define this value also in your variable, basically fine. But in our case, just to make as simple as we because we are learning new to the what you call Terraform, right? So that is why I wanted to show you in a simplest way. Okay. So if you want, you can define this value in your variable file as well. Okay. So this is your the what you call the public IP address name. And if you see dollar sign with your curly braces, there you have a count dot index. Okay, count dot index. You can plus space. You can give a +1. Okay, +1. Um, okay, that means the first public IP address whenever I create, it will be always with the, if you see here, every single index number, every single resource when you create, they have, if you create with the help of count, right, you will get an index number. It will be referred by index number. Let's say if you have 100 means or 10 or 20, based on the index number only, you will be used. Okay, in our case, I have 3. So, but the first instance, that is my public IP address name, would start with the 1, then 2, then 3, like that. Okay, instead of 0. All right. So same thing. Resource group location I have defined as it is. Whatever I have defined here, bnet. I want to create same resource group, same bnet. Sorry, same resource group locations and same resource group name I'll be using for my public IP address. Okay. Now network interface. Sorry, NIC card. Now, same thing count, because like I mentioned here, I will have to create 3 binet. Sorry, so NIC card. So I'm going to define 3 here. 3, yes, 3. Okay, 3 count is equal to 3. And the name, again, I want. So whenever you want with the same naming standard, you just dollar sign with the curly braces, then you mention the index, sorry, count dot index +1 in case if you want the index number to be started with 1. Otherwise, if you don't mention that one, it will be counted or it will be basically use from 0 itself. The starting index number will be 0 instead of 1. Okay. And then I mentioned the location also. Same thing, my default location. Resource group location I'm using. Same resource group name I'm using it. Okay. If you here see, if you see here, what and I see here, I use a depends on. What I use depends on because here I can define it depends on. The reason why I use a depends on is that because I want to create the NIC, but only after create successful creation of bnet and subnet. The reason why I'm explicitly mentioning this depends on is that because if I do not mention what happens is Terraform randomly they will run your Terraform configuration. Basically, they will take the code and they will try to run it right randomly. Let's say if you mention for the first one is a public, then NIC, and then you have a virtual machine like that. That by default Terraform will not do. What will do is that Terraform randomly they will whatever code you have defined here, they will try to run randomly. Okay, that is why if you don't mention here, there are chances to get an error because this particular NIC relies on your biner. As we all know, without biner you cannot create without biner and subnet you cannot create the NIC, right? Because NIC relies on certain some other resources. In our case, biner and subnet. So that is why I have defined the depends on. Okay, if you don't define also what happen, they will try to run. Some cases what happens is you get an error because there is this particular NIC relies on bnet and subnet. So that is why to avoid that this thing certain issue, I have explicitly mentioned depends on meta argument here. Okay. Then here this is a configuration name, IP config name, whatever name you given, index number you mention, it will be getting. Same thing with the subnet ID. Like I mentioned, I have only one subnet ID, so I don't have to get same like this because if you see what I'm trying to say is that if you see here, I am going to create only one subnet, right? Same thing, if you can see here, one subnet I'm going to use. So what I'm going, how I can refer if I want to just use one subnet. Where is that? I think it is here. Huh? Subnet. What is subnet ID, right? Just subnet. If you see here till here, you get here Azure RM subnet. Then local name. You see your local name. Then dot ID. So it will be it will be used with the help of ID itself. Your okay subnet ID. Okay, now this is good, and this is actually the private IP allocation is your dynamic. And here is another thing. Like I mentioned, when I create the three NIC car, this NIC in NIC car, even your public IP address need to be associated to each NIC, right? Because like I mentioned, we have you see here we have mentioned three NIC car. Okay, the three NIC car need to be associated with your in the sense the three public IP address need to be associated with your NIC. They you need to attach together basically. Okay, so what you do here? So under your NIC block, resource block, you have to define your public IP address also so that you can associate with this NIC and the public IP address so that they can be attached together. Okay, so that is why what I did was, if you just notice here, my sorry Azure RM public IP address, sorry public IP dot local name. If you just see here, here you can see the okay my Azure RM. So I have defined here. Then this is local name. Here you can see local name. Here if you see here, don't give a space or dot anything. You have to call with the counter index. You have to use the here instead of this. You don't have to use this one. Don't use this count dollar sign. Then counter index plus one. Don't use this one. This only be used only when you create the resources at the time referencing. But here, like I mentioned, I have already created the public IP address, right? If you see here. Yes, I have defined created. Here, the public IP address will be created. Here means I'm just going to refer. So if you have the list of strings, I have to use the this one that is your square bracket. Okay, square bracket with the index dot So account dot index, then ID. ID is nothing but your public IP address ID. Okay, so you can't use this one here same as it is what you get here. I mean what you use here, because this will only be refer when you create the resources. Here means the public IP address is already created. Now you are just going to refer that one with the help of count dot index. That is why, as you like I mentioned, they have three public IP address, so it's a list of string, right? That is why what I have to do is, whenever you want to refer the list of strings, I need to define with the what do you call that square bracket count dot index, then ID. ID means that is a public IP address. Okay, that's how you need to define. All right, now this is good. Let me go with your this thing. Now what you see here is that the VM, right? Again, this is a virtual machines uh, Windows VM we are going to create. This is a local name again. This name is very important team, because in our case we are going to create three virtual machines, right? So what I'm going to do is the VM name should be, firstly VM name should be HR Windows Server, whatever name you want, dollar sign, then curly braces, then count dot index plus one, meaning the first BM, like I mentioned, three BM will be created, but the name of the BM would be, the first one would be whatever name you see, HR Windows Server. It will be, like I mentioned, count dot index. I mentioned plus one, meaning the indexing number will be starting with one instead of zero. By default, it is zero. If you don't define, let's say if you just give like this, the starting BM name would be like HR Windows Server hyphen zero. Okay, that is the actual name. But in your case, if you want the VM or server name to be, the naming should be starting with your, like index number should be, let's say, is one. Then in your case, you have to explicitly mention that plus one. If you don't want, the first, the VM name would be zero one. Sorry, not zero one, it is zero. Okay. Okay, all right. Now resource group, like I mentioned, resource group, same thing. Resource group, what we have defined in earlier, same thing. Resource group will be used, and same resource group location will be used. I mean, a location will be used as resource group. Okay, and they have a tags. If you see here where the tags, if you just say tags, I have defined the tag, because if you see in my variable file, I have these many tags, right? That is, I have defined tag as common text variable as a common text. Then this type should be a map of strings, because I have more than string, right? So this is a key and value pair, so that is why I have to define multiple tags. So what I do is I have to define a map of strings here. Okay, variable type should be map of string, not just string. Okay, all right, this is good now. So let's go to the main here. Okay, so we have done here same thing. What happen if you see your tag, I mentioned where is nothing but var is a variable file, or we are referencing from the variable file. Okay, so var where, then I mention, then common tag. If you just notice here, whatever name, variable name you define here, and you can give anything if you want, hyphen or underscore or anything you can give it, depends on your naming standard you want. Okay, all right, so we are good here. So in this case now, if you see here, now this looks much more concise, and more it will help you to understand better, instead of if you write all the Terraform the tags basically here, this will not look good. That is why what I did was, the tag whatever I have defined in my variable, and I call by the help of variable, that is my name, variable name, that is variable, and the name of the variable file. Let's in case this is the name, right? All right, so let's go to the next one. So then we have the admin username and password, because otherwise I can define here what is my username I want, what is the password I want, I can define here. In my case, same thing I use the, if you just see here, you see here, right? This is clear, additional input variable file for resource group location and common text, that we are clear. And here local value for credentials, because I want to create three, basically I want to create three VMs. So I need to log into the server. So that is why I need to have the login credential, right? So instead of defining the here plain text, this basically the login credential I have defined in my that is here, right? Local values I've defined there. So, okay, so that I can refer that one. So if you see the local dot username, local dot admin password, you get to see here. You see here, local dot username and local dot admin password. So now this is good. Now, like I mentioned, the BM basically the virtual machine should be attached with your NIC card, right? So you will get a here NIC card right there. So in our case, as I like I mentioned, I have three BMs, right? I have three BMs where it will be created. So I need three NIC to be created at the same time created all okay. So now I want to refer them. I want to basically refer them because if you see here resource creation, the NIC three NIC is already created. You can check that here. If you see here, I have this is the play way how I have defined. Basically here mean you have created because common is equal to 3 you mentioned and name of the is NIC card name you have defined here. So your part is clear here. That is why you have to use the this. If you just notice your dollar sign with the calibrated condor index space then slash one, sorry, plus one. Okay, so you have created the NIC card. But when you want to refer something after creation of the NIC card, if you want to if you want to refer that one as a string, list of string, no, you have to use the this one. If you just notice here, this is a network interface ID. You see here, okay, this is basically nothing but your what you call that is um, square bracket. Okay, this is a square bracket. You need to use it because is NIC will have their index number. No, you have to call with the index number. How I can do it? So I just mentioned SURM network interface NIC card. If I see here SURM network interface, then NIC01 till here is your local reference name. I mean this is a resource type and the local name. Okay, till here you're good. Now if you want, like I mentioned, resource creation is happen here. Now I want to call them because this is a list of string, right? So I have to use. I don't have to give space or don't give any dot and all. It dot you should not give a dot. Okay, dot will not work here. So you have to give this is the actual format. So you use the if you want to refer it the what is NSC cut you mentioned here. What you call that square bracket. Sorry, you use this one. Okay, count dot index dot square bracket count dot index dot what you call ID. Okay. So once you call this one, I mean once you define here, you have to give a here command. So if you have multiple this thing, okay, let it be. So then we have a this also, this type, whatever name you want, you can give. So in my case, read, write, what is a storage second type, you can define that. I'm keeping as it is. And this is the source section. So I don't have to think much. This is basically all templates I have taken from, like I mentioned here, I have taken from here itself. Okay. In your case, as you learn in advanced level, you will have so many things where you need to explore. Let's say there are so many other things you can explore it. Okay. If you're somebody who are new to the Terraform, you can always go to the particular resource type and go to the what you call that argument reference. Then you get to see like here, whatever is here, argument reference. Then you can see the following arguments are supported. Okay, whatever issue the require everywhere require. This means whenever you create particular issues, you will have to give these informations like admin password, admin username, local locations, name, network interface ID, OSTs, like that. Okay, you have to give that one. If you're not sure, if you want to keep something like additional things, example, you can see additional capabilities, optional. Optional mean this is depends on your requirement again. If you need, you can give it like your LO extension operations. Again, this is optional. The ability set ID if you want to the BM to be created with ability set. In this case, you can use this also. So this overall, you need to just understand what is your requirement. Okay, I hope this is a clear team. So now what we will do, we have clear with the basically the VM creation template that is main.tf files, and variable files also nothing much. I have just defined a variable file that is my resource group locations by default. This should be in the s2s and the type should be string. Okay, and you can ignore this one because we are not going to use this one. Okay, you can ignore this one, and you can think I can use this one, that is your the variable for your tags. You have to use the type as map of strings because you are going to define multiple this thing like let's say user honor, and department, environment, applications, and lot many others. Okay, if you want, you can just type as, you can mention as country. Okay, you can give just like that. All right, team. So we are good now. So let's save this one. So now you're clear, right? So variable file I have defined this one, and in main.tf file, whatever configuration I got from my Terraform documentations, I have put here all together. You can ignore for now this one. Okay, and then provider also, like I mentioned, I have shown you also. Now we are good. And then credential also I have defined so that I can log into the server. So I have defined the login credential for all three servers. All right, so let me run the script. I mean, save the script first. So let me just go to my, you know, let me see if I'm in the same directory. Okay, I'm in the same directory. Terraform init. Okay, now if you see here, the initialization is happened. Uh, you can just check. You can just refresh this one once. What is it name? I think I'm in the meta argument. Okay, I am in the other folder. So what I'll do is meta argument, right? Here I can see here. So you can see the log file, then Terraform providers, the plugins as well. Okay, now we are good with this one. Now let's see the next. Okay, Terraform. If you want, you can run this command as well. Validate. Okay, if you want to run this one, this what happened basically. This will check the configuration of your Terraform basically, whatever you have written, whether is there any synthetically error or anything. And your configuration, if there is any issue in your configuration file, you get an error. Let's say now in our case, now it is succeed. That means it is good. Let me check just something. If I just give you something here like this, let's see what happens now. Let me just run 1 second. See, you get an error because invalid expressions. Now you get an error where the issue also you will get to know. Let's say main.tf is your here main.tf file, right? Here, what is the line number? 46. 46 means you see here 46 because I have added at the red, right? You see here, and you can see where exactly the issue is. Everything you can see expected the start of an expression but found an invalid expression token. So that is why it is important for us to understand the you know I mean the Terraform validate commands as well. So because the command what you mean, the configuration of Terraform is not validated. It is not valid. That is why you are getting an error. Okay, and it is not consistency. So I am going to save this one once again so that I can run once again. Now if you run this one, what happened? Now it will be pass. Yeah, it will pass now. Now if you want, you can check Terraform plan. So whenever I run the Terraform plan is nothing but what it does basically in the back end, right? They will try to authenticate to your Azure with the app with the help of API to your Azure cloud. Okay, authentication will be happening here. Now then once it is successful, based on the configuration file in your Terraform, whatever you have defined, you are going to get a blueprint in the sense output. What kind of resources going to be created, all details you will be getting over here. Let's say for the first time, if you see here, let's understand the first one, right? Okay, Terraform plan when I run, if you see here, the Terraform use the selected providers to generate the following execution plan. Okay, so what all things will be, Terraform will perform the following actions in the sense the first one they are going to create, that is a network interface will be created. Okay, you have randomly they picked it up. Then second is your, this is if you see another network interface, because like I mentioned, I'm going to create three network interface, right? The first one, if you want, you can see the name how it will be. Not here, yeah, here, Pulse and ICO2. Same if you want the first one, this is a one, right? Because I want to create, I want because I given the hyphen one, right? Here hyphen one, so NIC Pulse NIC hyphen one. I'm getting the actual NIC name. Thing is that in NIC name, if you just remember, I have defined here plus one is thing. If I don't define this one plus one, then I don't get this one. It will be zero. First NIC name will be NIC, sorry, Pulse NIC hyphen zero instead of one. Okay. But I want the NIC name should be starting with one. That is why I'm changing the NIC, sorry, the yeah index number for my NIC. So fine now, same thing. Then this is a, like I mentioned, second one is clear. Third one, this is a three NIC, third network card. Okay, then so same thing. You are going to create three public IP address now. So like that, you get to see everything. So if you see, this is the name you want. First public IP address. Like that, basically, whatever resource you have defined, that everything you can see like a print where you can see print, or like it's just like a blueprint where you can see what kind of resources going to be created at the time of Terraform apply. Okay, so you can check the like in a case virtual machines as well. Okay, so if you see the first virtual machine name would be like this, and second virtual machines like mentioned three, right? I'm going to create three. Um, here this is two. Then here is one more three. Okay, like that you are going to get everything. So anyway, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to run the script directly. I mean, I'm going to apply it, Terraform apply, right? I'm going to do auto approve. So just to give a small note, whenever I'm running or applying the Terraform apply commands, basically whenever I'm running this command Terraform apply, what exactly happens in the backend is that once the successful of your apply is completed, let's say in our case, once the whatever resources you have defined in your configuration, once it has been successfully deployed, in the sense one it has been successfully what do you say provision in your cloud infrastructure, you will have one more something called as your, I think it is loading still. You get a, for now you can ignore this one. It in the backend they'll have some information log file. Uh, but before that, you can see the state dot, sorry, Terraform dot tf state file. The state file will be generated at the time of Terraform apply. Okay. So Terraform apply, sorry, Terraform state file is generated only when you run the Terraform apply commands. Keep in mind. Okay. Okay. Right now it is been, you can see meanwhile what I'll do, let it I will just try to log into my Azure portal so that I can show you the resources whatever we are going to create basically you can see in your Azure portal. Okay, so let's see. It is still being created. So if you just remember the first resource group name, right? I have given resource group name as this one. Let me copy this one. Let me search here, or you can check also here if you want directly. So go to resource groups, check under resource group. Like I mentioned, I want all resources to be created under the resource group, right? That is why I am keeping only one resource group. So if you see under this resource group, I'm having so many things. Let's say your server 1, server 2, server 3, like that. So all the resources, whatever you had defined in your Terraform configuration, you have in place now. I think it is success. It is still being created. Okay, fine. One thing just to keep in mind, team. So if you see here, Terraform, sorry, if you just remember the first one, like I mentioned, um, subnet name, let me show you once, just for your understanding. Okay, you see here, I mentioned three, that means three VM will be created, but the first VM name would be, it will be always starting with a one. So it will be till here, right? HR Windows Server and hyphen one. So if you don't give explicitly plus one, what will happen is that by default, the Terraform will use index number which is starting with zero. So again, this is depends on your requirement and use cases. You can use whichever way you want. But in my case, just for your good understanding, that is why I have also added another point here so that you can understand if there is this kind of requirement, how I can do this as well, right? So this is why I have given this also, this plus one. Okay, so now it shows now total to all resources added. Okay, nothing destroyed, zero destroyed, zero changes, zero destroy. Okay, so that is why what I was saying is this is the server name and the hyphen, then the one. Same you can check here, you can see here whatever VM name you given. Okay, hyphen, then you given the one. Same thing two, then three. And this particular OSDs, we don't manage that one. This basically, whenever you create the NIC card, it will be created by default. It comes with your server, VM, basically. Okay. So how I can count? Let's say in our case, we have mentioned total 12 resources, right? Let me count. So you ignore these three data disks, sorry, this OSDs, because this is basically attached to your server. That is why it comes at a time of VM creations, okay, by default. So you ignore these three. Now you con server like one, two, three, and I mentioned three public IP address also, no? One, two, three. Same thing. What you define here? Public IP address I define. Yeah, I mentioned three. Same thing. It should be starting with one. That is I'm getting like this. Same nick card also. If you remember nick card, see here. I mentioned three, and the first nick card should be same like that. Pulse NIC hyphen one. You can check. Then two, then three, like that. Then bnet. How many bnet I have? In our case, we have only one. If you see only one bnet. What is the name of the bnet? We can check that as well. You see here, what is my pulse bnet? You can check pulse bnet. Okay, so only one bnet is created because I have defined only one. And all are in the same resource group because I am using if I see everywhere I am using same resource group locations and same resource group. That is why um, all resources are managed by or managed within the resource group. If you want, in your case, let's say if you want to create for specific resource, says in another resource group, yes, that is also we can use. Okay. So right now, let me count total how many are. One, two, like I mentioned, you don't have to count this one. Where is this? Okay, one, two, three, four. 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, 8, 9, 10. Okay, you got total 10, right? 10 you got here. Then one resource group because this is also resource, right? Resource group 11, and another one is your subnet. Subnet will not show here. You have to go under bnet because the subnet is attached within your bnet. So if you go subnet, whatever name you're given, you will get here. You can pulse subnet. You can check if you want. Pulse subnet. You see your subnet, pulse subnet. Okay, because this bnet basically, sorry, this subnet is attached to your bnet. That is why you will directly not see in your here in the resource group. Always you have to go within your bnet. Under bnet, you go and click on your subnet tab. You will see the same name what you mentioned in your configuration. Okay. So okay, now we are good. Now what I'll do is I'm good with this one. Now I will try to log in to the server now. Let's see how I can use. I can just log in the, let's say I'm going to log in one of the server. Before that, what I'll do, I will just try to show you what is an any card name, everything. If you see, just to make you understand better, go to nick card under networking sessions. You will get to see the nick whatever name you given. This is a BM3, right? BM3 attached to the NIC3 and public IP address it is 3. Okay, but it's same thing if you go with the one, let's say 2, 2. Okay, this is a 2 server, and what is the configuration you can check here also. Like this is the nick card 2 because server is 2, right? Nick card also 2. Then public IP address also 2. And if you want, you can also check the example your subnet as well. Bnet. Let's see here. Here the bnet and subnet also you can see here. But subnet bnet like I mentioned, B that is only we are using only one subnet and one bnet now. So that is why you can see here that as well. And same thing for the one that is server one. If you're not able to, if you don't define properly in your configuration, then it will be mess. The server one will be attached to your NIC3 or like that, or maybe sometimes not may not. It may not attach sometimes. Okay, so it depends on the configuration how you define in your Terraform configuration is matter. Okay, all right. So right now, what I'll do is I will try to log in this 01 server just for demonstrating purpose. Okay, I'll copy paste. Now, what is my username now? If I remember, username was here, right? I have defined this username. So copy paste the username, copy paste the password as well. I can check if you want. You can see here. Okay, whatever name you see here, it is same. Just log in. Okay. All right. So you have successfully provisioned your infrastructure. Basically, you have created 3 virtual machines and you have created 3 NIC card, 3 public IP address, and you are able to log in to one of the server now. And if you want, you can log in, you can check in other server as well. So I'm just trying to show you the host name also, just to be sure. So let me just, okay. So this is a BM1, right? Server one. So I can just say host name. I can see this is the same name as what you see in Azure name, right? So this is the first server. Okay, let me close this one. Now let me log into the third server or second server, depends on your request. So in case I will log in another server. So maybe I'll try to log in with mm, okay, I'll log into the third server. take the public IP address so that I can log in with the from public network. Okay, so if you want, you can check what IP it is. 205, right? Same thing I was using. Then what is the username? Hidian is your username. Password is your thing. Okay, your password. This is your, I think, third server, right? So, so I have logged into the first server and third server. So in your case, you can log into second server as well if you want. All right. So you have successfully logged into your third server as well. So what I'll do, I think, okay, let's wait for, okay. This is actually third server. I can check that. Sorry, my bad. Okay, this is third server. So you have now confirmed that you have successfully provisioned three virtual machines and you are able to log in with the credential what you define in your uh, local value, right? Whatever you have defined in your things here, you are able to log in everything. Now, what you can do is you can also check some other things like, let me show you. Here you can also see the what is that called? Okay, public IP address you have seen NIC card, BNet you can see the tag one thing because if you remember we have add three tags, sorry, four tags, right? Whatever I mentioned, see here like that application, web app, department, owner, whatever name you mention in your here. If you just remember here what I use in my BM under BM here, right? Here I have defined the value in my these tags details in my variable file with the name of common tags, right? So in same thing I refer, but I didn't mention anything, but it was there in the variable files because in variable files I mentioned with this name. So this for India and other things, right? So okay, so you have defined here everything. So okay, now this is good, team. So we have now confirmed. Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to destroy this one. How can I destroy? Um, just remove the. If you keep if one, you can keep this also, or if you want, you can dash. I mean, you have to put here destroy. I mean, you can use this one, this command, so that if you can keep this one, or you can remove this apply commands. In my case, let it be. I will run this command so that whatever existing you have resources, it is going to be destroyed now. Okay. So one thing, team, here while destroying the resources, I have already mentioned in earlier session also, but then just for your information, especially if you're new to this channel, right? So whenever I run this Terraform destroy commands, basically what happens in the backend, you see here whatever resource is going to be destroyed, 12 resources going to be destroyed. Okay, same you get the informations, and before that, what will do is that they will take the like if you see here, let me show you. If you see here state file, right? Now you see state file, you get the actually whatever information you have. See here, whatever details, example, you see a nick car one. Then same like that, you can see the virtual machines. Where is the virtual machines? 1 minute. See, resource group and everything. Basically, whatever information, whatever you have infrastructure in your cloud, right? At the time of when you run the Terraform apply, that time after provisioning your infrastructure, whatever you have provisioned in your cloud, all state file will be created. Let's say you have tags. You can search with the name also if you want. How I can search? Let's say if you want, you can search. In my case, what I do is just to show you. Let's say server name, VM name. Let's say just copying this one. Just search here. See here because this is a. I have three name, right? This is a second one, second server. Or if you want first server or third server, you can check like that because this is a name we kept no one server like that. Now you understand. So you get a full information. It's like a meta a data of your cloud infrastructure. Okay, that will be stored in your back in your Terraform dot not Terraform state file. I mean Terraform.tf state file. Okay. So if you want to see other as well, like your Nicker, also you can check with this thing also because I have created three Nicker. See here, Nicker one. Okay, like that. Then you can have a Nicker two. See a Nicker two. Okay. So like that, basically what, like I mentioned, whatever resources you have in your cloud, those will be after creation of your resources or of the provisioning of your infrastructure as a metadata, it will be stored in your Terraform state file. Okay. So now let's, I think it is still being destroyed. Okay. Okay. So I will close this state file first now. Okay. Let me close it. What happens is now after, if you see here, now just showing. Okay. Let me refresh this one. Now, if you see here, then Terraform, what it will do in the backend, whenever I run, like I mentioned, whenever I run the Terraform, the destroy commands, if you see here, the Terraform state file, existing state file, what you have, basically, they will take the backup. Okay, if you just notice here, Terraform TF states, whatever name you have, dot backup extension, if you just notice here, okay, dot backup extension. So now, meaning they will take the backup of your existing terraform.tf state file and they will store with the extension as .backup file. Okay, so that if there is any kind of issue in future that you wanted to revert back anything, you can refer this terraform .tf state .backup file. You can refer this one. Same thing what you see in previous also. You get same thing that because this is a backup file. This is not the actually state file. From state file they have taken as a backup. Okay, but actual state file is this one. But if you see now, so you will get nothing here because it has been destroyed. The resource been destroyed. You have nothing here. So in the backend, whenever you run a Terraform destroy commands, first they will take the backup of your existing terraform.tf state file. Once it is been backup, then they are going to destroy the infrastructure in your cloud. After destroying the infrastructure in the cloud, what they'll do is they will come and update in your state file. Okay, they will come and update in state file. So in our case, it is if you see here, it is successfully if you see here destroyed 12, right? So successfully is happened. That is why you now they have updated the state file because now we don't have anything, right? That is why we need to understand the flow of your Terraform as well. Okay. So all right, team. I think this is informative for every one of you. All right. So we will try to maybe give another demo in maybe in the next sessions. For now, I'm going to wrap up these sessions. And thank you so much for joining us today. I see you in next sessions. Till then, you take care. God bless. Have a nice day.